this project, you'll need paper, colored pencils, and a couple of black pens. We'll be coloring freely without photos, enjoying the beauty of a living line and bringing out all the drama by using the contrast between the colored pencils and the black pens. Hello, I'm Päivi, a visual artist from Finland, and I love drawing freely. I also like to write. I don't always make videos, but I write weekly, and I publish a new blog post in my blog at peonyandparakeet.com. And I also send a weekly reminder, sort of newsletter, so that you remember to read the blog post. I write about art, tutorials, about the love of drawing, about finding your style and such, all kinds of topics around art. I create my project in this small Archer and Olive blank notebook. I've already filled almost half of it. And if you go to show notes or the weekly blog post, you can see more pages from my journal. I also have an online course called Fun Botanicum, where you create a plant and flower themed chapter to your colored pencil journal. Maybe you want to start the project on a separate sheet of paper or start a journal dedicated for colored pencils and for drawing freely with pencils and pens. I'm using two black pens in this video. The first is the Copic Käsenfjüde brush pen and the second is a Copic Fineliner size 0.5. You can use any thick and thin black pens. Let's begin by creating a soil for the peonies. We want to get a lush and natural garden for them, but it's best to start with brown, orange and yellow tones, and then add greens at the end. Color less ground and green if you want to have more room for the peonies. I have quite a lot of ground here. Add more yellow to bring the sunshine into the picture. Many times, if your drawing looks dull or has some kind of sadness that you don't want there, adding yellow on top changes everything. So look at my piece, how the sun is really arriving at the garden, and it makes everything so much more cheerful and joyful. Let's begin drawing the flowers. Bring out your thin black pen. Draw the stems first using a line that is continuous but not straight. Let your line wander on its path to the sun. Some lines should overlap and cross each other so that the stems will look more natural. The pen may slip a little on the paper if your coloring is heavy, but don't worry if the line breaks here and there. It's just lovely. You can use a pencil too, of course, but I personally draw better when I can't erase the lines. I'm more present in the drawing. I can't draw as well with a pencil. Next, draw the actual flowers. But don't think about real peonies. That just sets the bar too high. When drawing abstract, more expressive things, thinking about the realistic thing is not the best thing to do. It's better to think about something else so that your expression comes through. And here, think of peonies as fluffy clouds in the sky. In these cloud-like flowers, draw swirling lines to represent petals and other leaves. You can think about fabrics, ruffles, and things like that. The peonies are still very weak right now. They look almost translucent with their fragile stems. But now we can start strengthening them. Let's thicken the stems first. Color around the stems using dark tones so that the stem becomes thicker and is no longer just a line. You can leave some green showing through to create the impression of leaves. So the background makes the leaves and the stems, and you put more darkness, more shadows there around them. I'm coloring a little pink into the flowers just to get more into the mood. And then I'll add some dark tones under the flowers. Peonies won't look dramatic if they don't seem heavy. And there are always deep shadows under large flowers anyway. We often omit this. We look at the big flowers in the garden and we don't look underneath them. But there's really dark shadows under the flowers, and that makes the flower really, really stand out. Next, let's add a massive dose of drama. Grab a black brush pen or any thicker black marker and color a black sky above the peonies. Keep the black just in the center and leave the top corners lighter. Make tiny notches where the peony meets the sky. The little notches like this really bring out the delicacy of the flowers. Switch to a thinner marker and create a gradient by drawing short lines. Blend the transition from black to the lighter tones by coloring with your colored pencils too. Add some leaves to the bottom part. First, erase the spots for the leaves and then shape them by coloring the background. Don't underestimate the effect that the leaves have on your drawing. Angular leaves and thick stems look clumsy. Turning your shapes more curvy and improving the coverage of your coloring make the drawing more attractive, even if it's just leaves and background and such. Boost the drama by drawing more leaves, but now with the black pen. Color some dark tones near the black leaves to make the transition softer. This keeps the pitch black leaves from looking like they are just floating around. The colored pencil, black or any dark color, is like a glue that glues them to the background. Add more color to the flowers. Play with different tones and draw tiny shapes, all kinds of things. The flowers in the center are the most important, so the ones on the edges can be left more abstract. Next, it's time for the finishing touches. Go through your drawing and fix any spots that look a bit messy or clumsy. Focus most of your energy on the center because that's where you want the viewer to look. I did some pretty messy work in the beginning because I didn't want to bore you, so I rushed. But now I'm going over the parts that look like I have been in a hurry and that don't look so good even from a distance. But a small book like this usually gets looked at quite close up. So spending time on the details is definitely worth it here. I want to add a bit more drama to the bottom section, or should I say nature, because I think that my drawing could express the cycle of life more. By drawing not only the flourishing things, we get a more natural look. And actually, when we bring in things that are more like feathering, then the blooming flowers look much more lively. Remember how we started from the brown and orange tones in the beginning and then added the greens? We can use the same point of view in the rest of the drawing and bring in some things that are not only so colorful, so positive. So first I'll add some dead flowers, or maybe these could be leaves too. It's not so important. Many withering petals and leaves look pretty similar. Instead of green, the colors in this corner can be brownish red. A thick dark line shows that the flowers or leaves are withering. It's like they've been overwritten. But then I also add some life, some really positive stuff to bring in some contrast and drama. So I color some light with yellow. Finally, I'll just do a bit more finishing, but I'm going to leave this drawing quite abstract. A lively, expressive line is always beautiful, and I want to let it show. I think that as soon as we begin to appreciate our living line, no matter how clumsy it is, no matter how slow it is, slowness is not bad. Slowness can be good at first. And I think that the living line is the key to the journey as an artist. At least that's how my path started. That I started drawing without any photos. I started drawing first just circles or lines that were quite straight, and I slowly found what my line wants to be. This is something that happened many years ago. Now when I paint bigger oil paintings and such, I think that the legacy of that time is still visible there, that I still use line very creatively, and even if I paint, line is always there. I think that that also makes creating more effortless when you know your line and it's always there ready to help you. And I want to spread this word. I want people to think more about the living line and more about how it lives inside a pen and how our hand can make it come up. A small miracle. Nothing really if you think about in terms of the outside world, but then so much when you think about it in terms of inside world, what your inner world can bring out, and thus also make an impact on the outside world. So please visit peonyandparakeet.com.